Welcome to This Side of 50, the podcast where men of all ages come to gain clarity, confidence, and direction. I'm Milton K. Smith, your host, a seasoned voice that's living, learning, and leveling up. I'm here to share with you knowledge, understanding, and wisdom that I've gained throughout the years. Each week, we'll tackle real life challenges, share practical tools, and hopefully inspire you to keep going. If you're ready to gain clarity, confidence, and direction, then this is your podcast. Well, thank you all for joining. I'm so excited that you're here with me on today. As you heard, this is This Side of 50, Not Your Grandparents podcast, and we're back for the next season. So we've been out for a while, but we want to jump back in this, and we're just going to go ahead and start this discussion, start this journey on today. As you read in the bio or in the description for this season, this whole season, we're talking about lessons I've learned from CrossFit. I started doing CrossFit in my mid 40s, continued into my 50s up until our box closed. And I've learned, well, first of all, I think it was one of the best decisions that I ever made. Got me back into the right frame of mind about my health. Met some wonderful people, wonderful coaches that even guided me to the point that I was able to become a level one coach myself. So one of the best decisions I ever made was doing CrossFit. I learned how to work with my body and all those kind of great things so that I could get maximum results from what I was doing, even at 40-ish, going into 50-ish. So I've learned some things over those years. I was in CrossFit for about 10 years. Went from just being someone who walked in the door, didn't know if I could do this thing called CrossFit, ended up being a coach and was able to do some strongman coaching and participate in a couple of strongman competitions or one strongman competition, and it was a great time. So I've learned some things, some life lessons, knowledge, wisdom, and understanding while I was there in CrossFit that I want to share with you. So here's the first one we'll talk about today. You have to commit to the challenge. You have to commit to the challenge. When I first walked into CrossFit, I had a coach. The first coach I had, his name was Paul, and we were doing back squats that day. I think we were doing close stance back squats, and I had squatted down. I was in the bottom position, and I would say I was about to drop that weight. It got heavy. I couldn't get out of that squat position, and he was standing beside me. And he said, "You got to commit. You got to commit. You got to commit." And eventually, I guess in my mind, I caught what that was, and I committed, and I was able to stand back up. But that was the first life lesson that I learned in CrossFit that I'm going to share with you. That you have to commit to the challenge. Whatever that challenge is, you have to commit to it. Commitment is the bridge between intention and transformation. When I took that weight off the rack, my intention was to do a full squat, stand up, squat down, stand back up, right? But in between there had to be a transformation in my mindset, transformation in everything about me. That once I got in the bottom of that squat and felt how heavy that weight, and I cannot remember what the weight was on that particular day. It's been over 10 years now since that day. But in between there, that process of intention to transformation was commitment. And whatever you're doing, whatever your goals are, you're going to have to commit to that challenge. I realized, though, that half-hearted effort produces half-grown results. There's something you can hold on to. Half-hearted efforts produce half-grown results. If you're going to be a grown man this side of 50, whichever side you're on, I'm on the plus side of 50 now. So if you're going to if you're going to put forth a half-hearted effort, you're going to get half-grown results. And true commitment means that you can't quit. You have to close the door on quitting, right? So you can't be half-hearted in what you're going to do if you want full-grown man results, because I'm talking to men, maybe some women too. But you can always check now if the man that you're talking with, the man that you're dealing with, if he has half-hearted efforts and things, or put forth half-hearted effort in something, he's probably going to get half-grown results, right? I found something out, and I'm a man of faith. I found something out that God honors the person who finishes what they start. God honors that, right? So whatever you put your hands to do it with all your might. Whatever you decided that you're going to do, whatever you say that your goal is, whatever your goal is going to be, whatever your challenge that you're going to overcome, you have to finish that thing, right? Because every test of endurance really reveals how rooted you are in your purpose, how rooted you are in your purpose, how true you are to your purpose. So when I walked into CrossFit, many folk thought that I wouldn't succeed. When I say succeed, I wouldn't continue. But I was committed to getting myself back in shape. I was committed to getting my health in a better place. And just so happens, I've never been a person that would quit. I would keep going even when it seems like I should quit. The smart thing would be to quit. There's something inside of me, I don't know if it's OCD or whatever you want to call it, pride, whatever, is that I'm just not a quitter, right? I'm going to keep trying. I'm going to keep trying. I'm giving my best effort. If I die, let me die, or whatever the case may be. That's metaphorically, okay? But I'm going to keep going. So that commitment, that distance or that bridge between what my intentions were and the transformation didn't happen overnight, but it took some time. And there were a lot of times while we were doing particular exercises, particular WODs, routines, that in my head, I'd be like, man, I can't do this. But I realized from that first moment interaction I had with my coach on that day, that I had to commit to the challenge, right? Commit to the challenge. That there was no looking back, no giving up, even when things got rough, even when the weight got heavy, even when I did my first Murph, I guess the legs got tired, they were numb. Whatever the case may be, I had to keep telling myself, commit, commit, commit. That I'm in it. I'm going to succeed. I'm going to finish this, and that at the end of the day, I'm going to be better. It's just that it gets kind of rough in between, and I know a lot of us as men, we have that same challenge. We go through those same things as men, as women too. For those women that may be listening, or those brothers that may want to share this with the women in your life, your daughters or your wife or whoever you want to share it with, whatever the case may be. Um, that things get rough, and when things get rough, sometimes our commitment to the goal, to the task, becomes questionable, becomes it seems sometimes doubtful that we're not going to make it. But you have to commit. You have to commit to the challenge. You have to stay the course. You have to finish the race. You'll never get to the next level if you give up, right? And I mentioned that when I joined CrossFit, but the real goal is that I was about 220, 230, maybe a little bit heavier. This is my story, so this is how I'm telling it. I was just a tad bit over 220, 230, whatever the case may be. But my goal was to lose weight. My goal was to become healthy. I had knee challenges, knee issues. So I realized when I walked in, there were certain activities that I definitely couldn't do to the fullest, and I had to modify some things. And like I said, I was blessed to have coaches that were there to see me grow, that were there to push me on, that were there to help me navigate those areas. And so I was able to start that journey and start that commitment. So you have to make commitment to the resources that you have, right? You have to make a commitment to the resources that you have. I define resources as your health, your finances, your relationship, your career, and your behavior. Those are the resources that I confine it to, as well as your time, right? But all of this takes time. So first of all, your main resource, I guess, we all could say that our main resource is time. So what are you going to do with your time concerning your health? What are you going to do with your time concerning your finances? What are you going to do with your time concerning your relationships? What are you going to do with your time concerning your career? And what are you going to do with your time concerning your behavior? That's something for all of us men as we grow older, as we grow more mature. That's something that we have to come to grips with. What are we going to do with the time that we have remaining? I heard something very interesting the other day. I was watching a clip on Instagram, or it might have been on Facebook. I can't recall now, reel or whatever the case. And the speaker was saying that death is a constant companion for us all from the day that we're born, right? But as we get older, that companion talks louder. And I'm paraphrasing. That companion talks louder. So as I grow older, grow more mature, even with this podcast, my goal is, what am I going to do with my time that I have remaining, the time, and I have a lot of time remaining. What am I going to do with that time to help others get to the next level, to share with others what I've learned? And I'm quite sure there are men and women that are listening that you have some knowledge, or I know you have knowledge, wisdom, and understanding that you can share with others. And you don't have to be a celebrity, you don't have to be a superstar or entertainer. You just have to be someone that has been successful at staying committed to your goals, staying committed to the challenge, staying committed to your family, committed to your health, committed to your finances, and committed to relationships, right? So when it comes to your health, commitment builds consistency, and that requires daily discipline if you're going to get results, right? When it comes to your health, you're going to have to be consistent with your health. With CrossFit, I was consistent with my days that I was going to work out. I was consistent, not just inside the box for that hour. I was consistent outside that box because I was learning to eat right. I was learning to get the rest that I needed. I was learning to have the right mindset and how to deal with the pressures and balance my life. There's something that we as men don't do often. We don't have good balance between our job and our personal life, right? So I was learning those things, and that required daily discipline to have those things done. Second, I would say that there has to be a commitment to finances, right? Budgeting only works. And everybody listening to me, every man, you should have a budget, right? You should have a budget. You should have 10% that you're putting away in savings. This is just my idea, right? And there's a lot of other budget people out there, financial gurus. I'm just telling you what I do. I try to put away 10% for myself in savings or whatever the case may be. I invest some. I give to my local church. That's what I do. I believe in tithing, and I believe that it works. I've seen it work, but that's a podcast for another day, I guess. And you have to put away, of course, taking care of your bills, your invoices, your responsibilities, things like that, right? Making sure your children, your family squared away. So you got to have a budget, right? You should get your budget. Go on YouTube, go on Facebook, Chat GPT. You can find some, like I say, financial gurus out there that give you some good budgets, but make sure, some good budget material, but make sure you start budgeting, right? But budgeting, or however, budgeting only works if you don't quit. So you got to be consistent with that budgeting, right? You got to be consistent with that. You got to stay the course. You have to be willing to let some things go now until later so that you can get to the financial place that you want to be in life. You don't have to be a millionaire, but you should be financially stable, right? And that should start right now, whether you're on my side of 50 or on the other side of 50, right? And then you got to commit to the challenge of relationships. Love grows through consistent presence, not convenience. And that's in the life of your children, if you have children, in the life of your family, brothers and sisters, mothers, fathers, your spouse, not calling them in order, in a particular order of priority, but everything that's connected to you in a relationship, it needs your consistent presence, right? Friends, they need your consistent presence. That's why it's impossible to have millions of friends because you can't consistently be present to a million people, to everybody that you want to call friend. No, you have to make sure that those that are your friends are people that you've shared life with. And in another form, I often say that friends are developed over time, right? Friends are developed over time. Maybe we'll do a podcast about that. What's really considered, or who's really considered a friend. But love grows through consistent presence and not convenience. That relationships require presence and not convenience, right? And then here's something for a commitment, right? Commitment to the challenge. In your career, commitment through challenge earns credibility and trust. It's simple that you have to be committed to your job, right? Be there when you say you're going to be there. Work the time that you're allowed to work. Give it your all. Give it your best. And then, you go home and you leave that job where it's at. You have that balance, right? You take care of family, that balance. So I didn't put balance as a commitment for the challenge, right? But it should be that you should be committed to balance too, right? If you have a family, wife, children, they need your time. In another form, because I'm a pastor, I often tell young men that I believe the last thing you will ever hear your children say, or you probably would never hear your children say, is that I wish my dad would have worked more and not been here for me. That's not what they're going to say. I know that we as men, we want to make a living. We want to give our children more than what we had, and we want to make sure that we have financial security. But don't let that be at the expense of being there for your children, being there for your family, your spouse, whatever the case may be, right? So commitment through challenge, it earns credibility and trust, right? And then here's a final one. Um, Behavior. You got to be committed to a right mindset, not just a mood, right? Commitment is a mindset, not just a mood, right? You got to decide once and act daily, right? That you got to make sure in your mind that, hey, I'm committed. That's where my mind is. My mind is commitment. I'm not going to start this thing unless I'm committed to it, right? So here's a question for you, because it's almost time for me to check out. What area of your life needs more commitment? Where have you been halfway committed, halfway in, halfway out, right? Alibaba and the 40 Thieves, there's a quote that says, either you're in or you're out, and you have to decide that. So remember, commit to the challenge. Well, that's all for today on This Side of 50. If you found value in today's episode, make sure to subscribe, share with a friend, and leave a review. Connect with us on social media for updates, tips, and inspiration between episodes. Remember, keep living, keep learning, keep leveling up, and most of all, don't settle. And I'll see you in the next episode.